Welcome to She Wears the Pants, the podcast where women build companies that can hold their calling. I'm your host, Ashley Deland, business advisor, multi-business founder, and startup investor, guiding women to scale with structure, strategy, and self-mastery. Every week, we go behind the scenes of high-growth, women-led brands to talk about the real work, the identity evolution, the leadership required, and the strategy that actually sustains success. If you're ready to build a business and life you love, you're in the right room. Okay, today on She Wears the Pants, we have the phenomenal Micah Abigail. And Micah is a faith-based founder, a credit solution expert, and the CEO of Micah Abigail, a boutique credit solution firm that helps clients navigate through financial and also credit challenges. Micah, it is such an honor to have you here on this podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your space and your time and your story here today with us.
Thank you so much for having me. You have no idea. I'm so excited I get to spend some time with you. It was instant connect the moment we met, and we had no idea how much we had in common. So the fact that we get to do this right now, I'm just out of my mind excited. Like I couldn't sleep. I felt like when I was a little kid and you just can't wait to go to school. I felt like that today. Night.
And like, if you're listening this on audio, you guys need to step into video to see how freaking adorable you look in pink suit, pink tie, showing up for this as the cutest version. I absolutely love it.
Only for you.
Thank you. So Micah and I actually met at the Maison Summit. So shout out to Maison. And we were sitting at the same table, godly divine, and it was lunchtime and you were getting ready for a fitness competition and there was a really long lineup, so we ended up just chatting and getting to know each other, and it was one of those moments where time just stops and we're so zoned into each other because it was like I was listening to my own story, and that doesn't happen a lot in life. It's an eclectic story, right? And I just remember looking at you and knowing in my soul that A, this was just the beginning of us together. And B, that I really, really wanted to share your story with the world because of the power behind it. And also it is just faith-based. And that's really, really hard to come by. And as two women who prior to would never sit here with crosses all over them and saying that we're women of God and now showing up as versions of ourselves, it's really fucking powerful. So thank you for being here. I'm already like gushing. For those listening who don't know much about you, can you tell us a bit about just your background, who you are, how you got started in the very successful entrepreneurial role that you hold?
Absolutely. So I'm actually originally born in Colorado. So I'm a native to Colorado, and I come from extremely humble beginnings, nicest parents on the planet, very strict upbringing, however. And I loved living in Colorado, but ever since I was this big, I just knew that I was meant for so much more. And I had this desire and this burning passion to do big things, and I didn't know what they were or where it was going to take me, but I just knew that there was a big old world out there that had to be explored. And so I'm going to fast forward very, very, very far because I don't want to belabor this too much, but I had an opportunity to come to New York when I was recruited into the credit space. So I was recruited into the credit space about 11 years ago. And I still remember the recruiter calling me, and he had asked me to get involved in the credit space. And I thought he was absolutely insanity. It was insane because I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, why would you want me to be in credit? First of all, I don't have good credit and I don't know why. I'm like, I didn't study finance. And so to me, it made no sense whatsoever. And he was so persistent and he kept calling me and calling me. So finally I listened to what he had to say. And it had to do with my background in speech communications. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So we ended up engaging conversation. I was very impressed by the company. And so they brought me on, and so this was Colorado based. And so they said, well, listen, you're going to be going to New York and that's going to be your territory. And they're like, how do you feel about that? And I said, well, I'll try anything twice.
Nice.
So the moment I came to New York, I'm not even kidding, it was dirty, nasty,
Mhm.
old LaGuardia. It's not what it is today. I was captivated, absolutely captivated by the energy. And I knew at that moment that I was called to be in New York. And I didn't know when I was going to be moving to New York. I had no idea what God had in store, but I knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And so that brings us to, so I spent about 7.5 years with that large firm. And then I very quickly realized that my name was becoming synonymous with credit. I had a true, not only passion for what I did, but I was really, really good at it. And I really loved the aha moments people had when I helped them navigate through the credit woes and the financial woes that they were having, because it can be paralyzing to people. And I speak from personal experience. I'm so empathetic to all of our clients that just don't understand how to navigate through the credit world, because it impacts every piece of your financial future. And for me, I wish I had met me prior to having gone through all the experiences that I had to go through. So I had to learn everything the hard way. And the amount of money and time and energy that was wasted, like the sleepless nights, because I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to approach certain situations. Like, for instance, right, buying a car and buying it, like not knowing what my credit score was. You know how long I went not even knowing what my credit score was? And then because I was afraid to look at it, I went to a place and I did a buy here, pay here type of loan, and ended up, my car dying in the middle of the highway. And then I ended up going to a reputable dealership, and then they wrapped two loans into one. And then I walk out of there and I didn't realize it was a 29% interest rate. And I'm paying for like literally four cars over. And I go through all of these little trials and tribulations, and there's way more to it than that. But I just really didn't want people to have to suffer unnecessarily, because I was like, hey, there's an option out there. And so, very long story short, so I spent 7.5 years with this company, and then I saw the writing on the wall, and I felt this pull during COVID that I needed to start my own company. And it wasn't to escape corporate, it wasn't to escape anything. I had a pull to make a change. I had a pull to want to make a difference. I wanted to put my stamp, my signature on something, because I know my intentions, I know my heart, and I wanted to help people what I thought was the right way. And I knew nothing about building a business, owning a business, nothing. I just knew what I knew. And so I started studying my butt off. And long story short, I opened my company, and actually we are open 3 years to the public as of today.
Oh my goodness,
So
congratulations.
thank you so much. Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
divine timing to be happening, especially during COVID when financial stresses and credit started to pile up for many, many Canadians and Americans. Did you
Yeah.
find that as soon as you opened doors, you were just bombarded? Was it a slow build up? Like how was that experience for you?
Yeah. So it was funny. I was so scared. I was
Yeah.
like, what if I'm not as good as I think I am? Like, what if people don't actually like me? And my
Mhm.
husband's like, you're going to be just fine. And so God he never allowed me to be overwhelmed to the point where there was just so much on my plate that I couldn't function. So I basically, it was very nice, slow trickle of clients. But the day I left my last company, so my final day with them, the very next day, I was billing in Micah Abigail. So there was no time lapse, except for maybe 3 hours. And so, but the good news is that I had referral partners chomping at the bit, because they knew and they trusted me. And so the business has always been very steady and very consistent, and I'm also very driven and very hungry, so I'm always going out and bringing in new, which is good. So the business has always been very steady. And so, I've got the classic entrepreneurial story where it's like started in the basement, and then I moved to my first crappy little office, and then I moved into my second crappy little office, and now I'm actually in a nice office.
You're being very humble because you're actually quite successful and you're now
Oh
like
my gosh.
world-renowned speaker getting pulled everywhere to share your
Thank you.
story, to share this financial narrative, which is not often heard.
Right.
And I think it's definitely needed in the world. But what I also like about you is that you didn't have like I had to go to business school. I had to go to corporate. And you were just literally like, I'm hungry. I'm going to study my butt off and I'm going to make this happen for myself no matter what within corporate and then also within entrepreneurship. If you could
Yeah.
go back to that little Micah, what would you
Mhm.
tell her now? What is like one big lesson that you'd be like, girl, listen to me?
If I could go back to little Micah, the one big thing I would tell her is it's okay that you're different. And I think that kind of brings us into the phase of the story that gets intense, and there is a lot of emotion behind all of this because I want this to be as just raw and impactful as possible. But as you and I had discussed, alcoholism became, a big problem in my life. And the initial reason I started ever drinking in the first place was just to fit in.
Mm.
I didn't want to be the goody goody anymore. I didn't want to be, oh, you're no fun. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to call out people, but there were people in my life that were close to me that constantly made fun of me for being different. And I was always different in a way where partying never seemed attractive to me and getting drunk never seemed attractive to me and living a life where it was just aimless was never attractive to me. And I always thought I just felt so alone. And I just wish that somebody would have said, hey, it's okay that you're different. In fact, it's actually really good that you're different. Maintain that. And it's going to take you places that the rest of the world can never go because they choose to be in that group that does what everybody else is doing. And so I would say don't succumb to peer pressure and just be okay being different.
It's so true. I really push that with clients nowadays, actually in community, is that that copy and paste version that worked for one person doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, nor is it meant to be your path. Like your
Yeah.
uniqueness is actually your superpower, but it also
Yes.
takes us so many obstacles, challenges, and heartaches to realize that on an individual
Yes.
basis, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm about to turn 40. You just had your 40th birthday. And like, it took me up until now to be like, girl, I am so proud of you for being unique, for being
Yeah.
different, and for following your own path. But it
Hmm.
certainly took me a really long time to get here.
Yes.
How has faith, do you feel, impacted you? Because you're dropping the big G word,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I call him Big G. I'm just gonna go have a talk with Big G for a second. I'd love to hear because I actually don't talk too much about it on the podcast, the faith-based. Some people know a little bit of my background from my first one. You know a little bit of
Sure.
my background as well.
Sure.
Tell me about your path with religion, how it was, where it is now, and everything kind of in between.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, my faith. And whew, God is everything to me. Absolutely everything to me. It's the only reason I'm here today. And so my faith, so as a little kid, I grew up in a very religious household. I think that's the best way to describe it is religious. So religious, right? I truly believe that religion itself is man-made, right? I believe in following Jesus, right? He set forth such a great example in the scriptures and in the way he lived. And man has taken and twisted and contorted the scripture so that it serves their purpose. And so I was privy to that and I was susceptible to that. And so I was like, do this or else, do this or else. And if you don't do this prayer, or you live this way, you're going to hell. And it was a very, very, very rough and gruff and put you in a box type of mentality. The church that I went to, the school that I went to was a private Baptist school, Southern Baptist, extremely strict, like over the top.
Mhm.
And so it actually gave me a lot of anxiety to the point where I started developing really, really bad OCD. And I just started developing a lot of little issues as a little girl. And so, but I had a very strong faith and I knew who Jesus was and I had a strong faith in who he was. And I had a love for him always. And, but it was in my 20s, my early 20s, probably 2021 is when it just became non-important to me. I was not interested in going to church. I was not interested in reading the Bible. I was not interested in pursuing anything that had to do with God. And I was very interested in pursuing all my worldly desires. So drinking, drugs, partying, sex, I just wanted to live my life and have air quotes, fun.
Mhm.
And so I did. And God really got completely shoved out of my life for a very long time. And so my relationship with alcohol was the catalyst to really bring me back home to him. And when it got to the point where it was so bad that I was like, it's either you choose life or you continue going down the path that you're going down, because it was, a wild card as what could happen. And to say that there were angels watching me every moment of every time I drank is an understatement. I don't know how I'm alive today. I really don't, Ashley. I have no clue. And so with my faith, I will tell you, it was just something where there's a great story in the Bible where they always talk about the shepherd and the sheep, and how, right, he'll have his flock of 99 and he'll leave them to go find the one. And that's what he did. Like, I was the one. And they say that the shepherd breaks the lamb's foot in order to put it around its neck, in order so that when it puts it down, it doesn't run away again. And I felt like that was me. I'm like, he hypothetically broke my leg, and this alcoholism, it broke me in a way that there was no way I was going to stray ever again, because I just knew, I was like, that's it. Like, that's it. I had an epiphany. And so he broke my hypothetical leg, and he brought me back harder than ever. And I just realized I can't do this life without him. I don't want to do this life without him. I am the best version of me when I am close to him and he is close to me, right? Just knock, right? If he knocks and I open, like he's there. And it's everything to me. And my faith is something that carries me through the ups and downs of business, the ups and downs of life. I mean, the ups and downs that I've recently had in my business, to say that it has been a rough week alone is an understatement. But I still stand here with so much faith, because I truly believe, like, Romans 8:28 is one of my favorite verses. And it just basically alludes to the fact that, for those who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose, all good things will work together, right? For those who are called according to his purpose. And it just means that it doesn't matter what happens, good or bad, he always uses it according to his plan. And his plan is, right, Jeremiah 29:11, right? I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. And I've just seen time after time after time the promises that he has made. I just keep them in my heart and I keep them close to me. And when I'm going through horrible, horrible, horrible things, I'm just like, wait a second, you didn't abandon me at that time. You didn't abandon me in that time. Why would you abandon me in this time? And it just really keeps my mind centered, because without it, it's just too easy to think life is happening to me and not for me. And I do believe life is happening for me and not to me. And so faith is something that every single day, I connect with God every single day, no matter what.
And refinding him was, I'm assuming you've been sober now for, if I'm not mistaken, 7 years. I guess you refound him.
Not quite. I'm coming up on 5 years
You're
in
coming up on
January.
5 years.
5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
5 years in January.
huge congratulations.
Thank you.
What was that moment like when you pivoted into his direction? How did you know? What did it feel like for those who are perhaps thinking about reconnecting?
Absolutely.
That experience.
I think for me, it was, so, when you told me your story and how I just started crying.
Yeah.
And so I had a very similar experience where I was in such a dark time. I was in such a dark place. And who comes on the television but Joel Osteen?
He does, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I love that.
I'm listening, and I'm in such a dark place, and I just drop to my knees and I just start crying uncontrollably in just such a way where I just knew, I was like, thank you, God. Like, you gave me one more chance. Like, this is my opportunity. Take it. And so it was really just something like he calls us when we're weak, and he wants us to rely on him when we're weak. And I think he allows us to go into those places that are so dark and so just so dark, because in those times we'll reach to him. It's very, very easy to not reach to him when things are going well and things that, you're on top of the world. It's like, what do I need God for? I'm on top of the world, but he uses these times to bring you back to him. And it was really just me sitting, being quiet, being still, and just knowing that I had a bigger purpose and a bigger calling. And I knew exactly what that was. And I always tell people who feel like, if you feel like there's something missing in your life, like if all the pieces are aligned, but there just feels like there's something missing, that's God saying, hey, your creator's trying to say hello, and it's life without him. I'm telling you, it's empty. It's meaningless. It's
Mhm.
absolutely meaningless. And so that's my true belief. And so that's where I'm at with that. So I think just being still and just being okay in that moment and allowing God to speak to you.
Speak to me. That is how I know. Every morning, there's a 45-minute walk in nature where I'm talking to God. And I have come to realize that if I come into that narrative in myself, then I cannot hear him. But it is literally
Yeah,
silence and the stillness that allows me to quite literally feel his words within me. And
yeah.
I just know in life, it has been a huge shift for me because I just know that I can release that OCD and that
Mhm.
control within me because it's up to him. And it just
Yeah.
so much stress off of my life when I was like,
Yes.
okay, should I do this keynote or should I go to the okay, thank you for that answer. And even moments where I'm like, I wonder why I can't hear the answer. Literally behind the scenes, he's working it all out for me so that it's
Yes.
presented. And it's that what I would say for everybody listening is that if they are trying to reconnect to God, the silence, the stillness, and the moments of allowing Him to speak through you are the most valuable nuggets you can ever get in life, A. But B, it allows you to just live in peace and
Hmm.
to take the control off of the situations, which makes life better to live. Were
Yes.
you married during that point? Because I know that my relationship with Ryan was always very difficult when it come to the conversations of religion. We had the biggest fights of our life because he's
Sure.
always been a believer, and I was like, "You are a part of a cult. You are
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
on
Of
my
course.
experience." Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
how was it with your marriage, your relationship when you went from one version to a completely different other one?
Absolutely. So this is probably one of the biggest parts of my story, to be honest. My husband is actually one of the people that God utilized in order to help me become sober. And so when I met my husband, my now husband, so I was on one of my dry spells, and I call it dry spell. So I was a binge drinker. So I never drank every day. But what I would do is I would drink for like 2 weeks at a time, and then I would just stop drinking for months because I never craved it. But when I started, I couldn't stop. And so I was on one of my dry spells, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not drinking anymore. You know how we do. And so still didn't think I had a problem. So meet my husband. So he meets the best version of me, the sober me. And he's like, great, this girl doesn't drink. This is awesome. Cool. Didn't think I had a problem because I didn't think I had a problem. And so God was very much a part of my life at that point. And for him, God was an interesting component that he wanted to have it become part of his life. So he was searching and I was there, but I still had a couple of things that I needed to fix. And so we went about 2 months of dating and I did not drink at all. And then one night I was like, hey, can have a drink, different surroundings, different people. I'm so happy. How bad could it be? And it wasn't bad. The first night, it wasn't bad. And it wasn't bad the second night. But, about a week later, it got bad. And old habits, old tendencies started to come back. The binging started to come back. And it really started to cause a rift in the relationship. And the one thing that was really unique about Daniel is he never judged me. He never really ever said anything about anything. He just kind of wouldn't go away.
Love that.
It was like thinking to myself, I've got all these destructive behaviors happening, this drinking and this erratic behavior, and this guy just keeps showing up. And I'm like, okay, all right, I guess I'm not shaking this guy. And so I did a great job of pushing him away right before I got sober. So I did this push away. And during that push away, I got sober. And during that moment of getting sober, when I had pushed him away and pushed everybody out and really needed to have like that come to Jesus moment, it was in that moment where I realized like that was it. And there is something to be said about the way that he confronted me without confronting me. I think when someone expresses a mild concern without placing judgment, then it shifts how your mind approaches whatever it is that you're trying to change. And so for me, by the grace of God, for whatever reason, that was a shift. And I was so just humbled by the fact that his love was unconditional and he didn't hold all the crazy things that I did or said against me at all. And it just was something that I just realized I had something really special here. And so I wanted to continue down the path that I needed to continue down in order to live life. And so during that time, my relationship with Christ strengthened so much, because at this point I knew like I'm the straight and narrow girl. I knew exactly who I was. And so we did have a little bit of contention because God was such a big part of my life, and I was on the marriage track, and I was like, this is the guy that I want to be married to. And I said, listen, I told him, I was like, I don't want to be the wife that shows up to church by herself with her kids and her husband is non-existent. I said, that's not my life. And I said, and I love you and you're amazing, but if that's not a priority for you, I don't want you to make it a priority because it's my priority. I said, so we need to figure this out now, because if this is not something that you want, then you need to let me know, because God is first and I love you, but you are second. And so he and I had a lot of back and forth on that, because his thing was golf on Sundays. So, and if anybody has married to a golfer, you know, you know. Oh my goodness.
And how long have you been married now?
So just over 3 years now.
Oh.
So we've been together for 5 years, over 5 years. So it's short, but feels long, if you will.
Yeah.
Waited my whole life to meet him.
Oh, I love that. And he is also incredibly fit. The two of you
Mhm.
are
Yes.
models, literally.
Oh my gosh, not even a little.
Models, please.
Not even a little.
Tell everybody, because I think it's really important. Before we were recording this conversation, you said something like it's difficult to go back into that space, and I can relate with you on so many levels, because it took me a few NLP practitioner sessions, a few therapy sessions to just even record the story of Ashley, the first podcast of She Wears the Pants, because that story was always just hidden for me. It was like
Yeah.
a deep, dark secret. And I think it's really important for people to hear the raw, unreserved truth of people, because it puts hands up to be like, oh my gosh, Mika, me too, which we had so many of those moments. And
Yeah.
that the path isn't always copy and paste. The path isn't always linear. There's a huge messy in the middle. But now we're living proof of what, sobriety
Yeah.
and faith and
Yes.
entrepreneurship can do for
Yeah.
you when you are on that straight and narrow path.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to kind of hear all of the successes that you have achieved since being on this path, especially more recently with the competition.
Absolutely. And I have to preface that I have to preface my answer with, until I got sober, I didn't even have the confidence to start building my company. I had because I knew that I wasn't consistent enough to be able to handle that type of pressure. So the moment that I got sober was the moment that my confidence just did like, I mean, I just envisioned like being a person on like a really bouncy, diving board. I just my confidence just, I mean, I went through the roof, and it really gave me the confidence because detoxing on my own the way that I did. So to the listeners, just to be completely straight up and honest, I mean, I could walk around with a zero point 0.4 alcohol level and walk and talk and be fine. And my blood alcohol content was so high. And when I started detoxing, I mean, just the sickness that I endured and the sleepless nights, and it was awful. It was just awful. And like, so it gives you a sort of mental toughness by the way, I would not suggest anybody ever do that. I highly suggest go to a doctor because that is not safe. You can have a heart attack.
Mhm.
And so, but it gives you a sort of mental toughness. You're just like, okay, God got me through this. Like I can get through anything, And so because of that, and sorry, what was the original question?
Was where you have been to where you
Yeah.
are now. I
Oh,
want you
yeah.
to brag a bit on where you
Yeah.
are right now and how that sobriety, faith, and entrepreneurship has completely shifted you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really, really humbling to see where our business has gotten to. I mean, we have, an incredible team, and we help, hundreds of thousands of people, and we manage quite a large plate. And it's, we're continuously growing, and we're scaling quickly, and we're just so grateful to be able to help as many people as we are. And without me being sober, that would never happen. And on top of that, being able to compete as a bodybuilder and having a physique that does what it does because I've been taking care of it the last 5 years was a very invigorating feeling for me, because I had so many moments, when I was dealing with the back and forth of not being sober. My body would look good, and then I'd fall off and do really bad things from drinking and eating a lot. And then I would have to try to recover and try to get back to a healthier place. And so that constant just backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards, it was just exhausting. And so this was really, really fun for me to do this competition because there was no backwards and forwards. It was just forward, 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 forward. And it was so neat. And to have, I don't even know how, but taking first in my class.
No, oh, holy
How?
that's huge.
It was
Huge.
really, really surprising to me. I'm not gonna lie. I was so surprised. Like, what? Crazy. But I will say throughout my training, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, there is no way anybody else is working this hard. I'm like, there's no way. It's impossible. I was like, there's no way. I'm like, if there's somebody else out there who works as hard as me, I'm like, I have to meet them. Because not only was I trained by one of the top athletes in the world, right? Miss Olympia herself. So I'm getting training from the best athlete in the world. So I'm not only, given instruction from her, but I'm sitting here and I'm being pushed and coached by other people, that are close within vicinity to me. And I'm like, there's no way anybody's going to come in looking as good as me. And I guess it proved to be right. So, but I really didn't think I'd get first, especially being all natural, because I just wasn't willing to go down that road again. And that was actually something that, so I competed when I was not sober. And so I stayed sober, during that competition time, because I was so afraid of the interaction of the steroids and the alcohol that I actually abstained. And so, but I will tell you, it made me absolutely cuckoo, the steroids. So I'm very open about, having done steroids and, many years ago. And it was something that I would not repeat because, again, I mean, what it did to me mentally, and just it made me not a very nice person. And I'm not interested in going down that path. And so, yeah, the competition was amazing. And I'm still kind of having pinch me moments, and I'm going to put my medals up here in my office because I think it's good to, remind yourself, oh yeah, I can do something really hard.
I'm a badass. Literally. You can do anything you
you.
put your mind to. And this is just
Oh my gosh.
this is the message of this podcast. Is you literally
Yeah.
can do anything that you put your mind to.
Literally anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets when you like really sit in that, you're like, shit, I am unstoppable. So
Yes,
to wrap up this amazing podcast, I'm going to ask our signature She Wears the Pants question.
I
So
love it.
looking back on your journey of wearing the pants, what message do you want to relay for future generations of women in business?
That is such a powerful question. And I think my go-to answer is, my gosh, I have so many answers for this, and I wish I could give them all. I think for me, just remember that life happens for you
Mm.
and not to you. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. And so I don't want to be cliche, but I truly just hope that while you go through the experiences you're going to go through, women in business, whether you're an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur, working for someone, working for yourself, the ups and downs that you experience, embrace them all, because it's going to make you into who you are. And like you and I have discussed, who you are, your unique thumbprint, your unique footprint, all of those experiences are going to form you into the person that the world needs. And essentially, that's what we don't realize about ourselves. The world needs us. And even if it's just one person who walks a little easier, who lives a little easier, who breathes a little bit easier because of you, then you've done your job and you've done it well. And so just embrace the ups and downs and truly believe that life is happening for you and not to you. You have to be able to give things that happen in your life meaning. You have to. And the meaning that you attach to everything that happens, I truly believe is going to make you more or less successful, right? One person can go through the exact same experience as another, and this person who attaches the right meaning to it, right, is going to excel. And the person who attaches the wrong meaning to it is going to fail. So I believe that people are born to succeed and being programmed to fail. So program yourself to succeed by attaching the right meaning to things.
I love that. I love that. I love you.
I love you.
For all the people that now want to hear more of you and your story and learn about Micah Abigail, where can they go?
Absolutely. So I think the best place to go find me is Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. My account is Fit Credit Doctor. And so I'm always posting new content, and I do have a YouTube, but I'm not posting as much as I probably should on my YouTube. But Fit Credit Doctor, they're going to constantly see tons and tons of posts and stories. And it's a lot of personal, but there's a lot of credit too. But I would say Fit Credit Doctor is the best place to find me. So my name is Micah Smith as well. So if you want to search Micah Smith, you probably can find me that way too.
Micah, thank you so much for being vulnerable, for sharing your story, for stepping so much into that power, because I believe there's so much power in vulnerability. So I know that this podcast is going to land on the right ears and it's going to impact the right women listening. So I am very appreciative of you. So thank you for being.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
This was She Wears the Pants, where women rise into what they're meant to hold. If this episode moved you, changed you, or challenged you, send it to a woman you want to see rise. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready for deeper strategy, identity expansion, and high-level support, you can find me on Instagram at Ashley Deland. Until next time, keep leading boldly, building intentionally, and becoming the woman your calling requires.